Good, good.
Welcome back to the next edition of Pack Talking with a master trainer here, Todd Langston, and amazing master trainer Ben Austin as well, and your humble host, Bobby Summy here.
So what episode is this?
What was that?
What episode is this?
This is our 21st episode.
That's crazy.
This will be the first episode that we drop after Colleen.
All right.
Did you see that one?
I saw a clip of it.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. Ironically, I don't really watch too many podcasts. So
yeah, I don't really watch too many either. I watch yours and Tetragrammaton, basically, are the only two I really watch.
What's the other one?
It's called Tetragrammaton. It's a podcast by Rick Rubin, the music producer, and it's all about like the creative act, and he has these amazing guests on that are just mind blowing all the time. So yeah,
right.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
How you doing, Benny Ben?
Good. Hey, what's Canine? CAY9?
Oh, I don't know. I just grabbed a hat off my thing. This is from some student at Fort Lauderdale, I think.
Nice. K9. I like that name.
He's in Barbados something like that. Barbados, Bermuda, some place of something. Yeah.
It's nice.
It's a good place to be.
Well, got some, I don't know, fucking stupid.
Thank you for supporting the what do you call it? Jeez. Thank you for supporting the my what do you call it? TCW, basically. We had our students come and learn from us. Colleen's actually having one. Are you going to have one at all? I was going to ask you that.
I'm going to be pairing up with Art. So I'm going to be joining Art at Molina's. In April. And so Art and I will be doing some stuff together online. He's actually flying in this weekend. We're going to be driving down to a rescue and doing a bunch of video with Al.
That'll be fun, man.
Yeah. So, at this point, it's about creating some basic blueprints for people to follow. I've gotten pretty good at doing online appointments. So it actually opens up the idea of how to do better online education through what I've seen with it. And so we'll be doing a bunch of video and taping and different, to me, what people need is they need to see a bunch of people doing the same thing, trying to get the same result, but coming through everybody's personality. Like go take 10 different dogs, like show 5 trainers, take 5 or 6 different dogs and do the most basic things with them. How to get all these 5 dogs not to pull, but have everybody show you how they do it, because it can be done differently, but you're going to see some consistent. It is an art form, but everybody's going to do some things the same way.
Everyone's going to paint with their brush a little bit differently. You know what I mean? And that might be the thing that the student picks up and learns, that like, that person's is something I connect with a little bit easier. So maybe that will be their doorway into learning the process. I like that. It's beautiful. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think so. I think I think women learn better from women. I think you have to, I'm a really good student who can morph into you. Like, so if you're teaching me something, I went shooting with a Green Beret, as a client. He's like, hey, you want to go shooting? It was really kind of funny because when he picked me up, I jump in the Suburban, I look over here, and there's like 15 or 16 guns just spread out through the car like we have leashes. This dude just had fucking weapons, dude. It was the same thing. And we get there, and I morph into like, I'm going to copy you. I understand what you do and why you do it is because you've spent so many thousands and thousands and thousands of hours doing it. You honed it down to this. You don't even have to tell me as much as I'm just going to look at you and study you and take all of these little mental pictures of you. And then I'm going to do it exactly like I saw you do it until it makes sense.
It's a great way to learn it. We should definitely employ that more often. And it's great. I like that.
Not for everybody. Some people learn better in different ways, but that for me, it works pretty good.
I think people just get in their head too much. They couldn't even have that thought process, though. They're so far away from being able to do that. So stuck in their head.
You guys have seen it. What do you see? I mean, think of all the people we've seen come through TCW.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I would say the interesting thought about, learning from just females is now all my staff is just females. My newest member, I guess, is male, but oh man, I think they have a different capability, at least for me personally, of connecting with certain clients compared to I can, and it may just be my personality too. People that want their hand held a little bit more rather than people that require more patience over a long period of time. People that I can lose maybe belief in or patience with necessarily that person. That they're a little bit more inclined to deal with them empathetically, I guess.
We also learn most from people that look like us, I think. You know what I'm saying? Like there is something about
Fucking Southern California thing to say, dude.
well, I think that's why there's this whole inclusivity thing all the time in television. So, because they want everyone to be able to learn. But I think that if you see somebody that looks like you, it makes you it makes you able to visualize yourself doing it a little bit easier. I don't know. If you don't see anybody, if you only see men doing it and you're a woman, it's going to be hard for you to visualize it, I think. But if you see a woman doing it, it opens the door, I think, a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's subconscious even. I don't even think we're trying to do it. I think it's just something that's innately built into us.
Yeah, especially when you have to be more assertive too. I think a lot of times just in roles in society they don't let you think that you can be this way, whatever that may be. More assertive with a dog or a person that may be, or even your partner.
What are we talking about? You guys took a left turn. We're talking about like masculine, feminine energy, right?
Yeah. That's kind of just the direction we're going with it
Yeah.
all.
You guys can actually say, you can say that, Bobby.
No,
Okay.
I was
It's a safe
saying,
space.
so
It's
I was
safe
saying any like minority in a group, like so a black trainer or an Asian trainer, and then another Asian trainer might see that and be like, okay, like I see that someone else in the space that it opens the door, like subconsciously. I'm saying I don't think that we.
I think, honest to God, dude, you spend a little too much time in Southern California. But this is what I think it comes down to: is that we are tribal as much as people want to say we're not. I mean, not too long ago, we only lived with people that look like us. And so, from a standpoint of familiarity, I understand. Yeah, familiarity. But the problem is if it takes you having to look like somebody to learn from you, you got blocks.
I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying that this is one way that people like see the world. I don't necessarily, I just look at whoever is best doing it. I don't care what race, color, gender, it doesn't matter. I look at whoever is best doing it. And then I'm going to go, okay, let me emulate that. Like you were doing with the Green Beret. Like, I'm just saying that
We did take a left turn, but I get what you're saying.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know what rabbit hole this guy just went down.
It's I was on the same page as you,
my
Bobby. We
apologies.
went deeper. We went one layer deeper. It's okay.
No, I'm following exactly what you guys are saying,
Yeah.
but what I'm trying to do is simplify it from the standpoint that no, I believe culturally that door's been open for us. I don't think people are that existential with it. I think it comes down to the fact that you are wired to connect. Like it can be cultural, it can be racial, it can be all these things. You're wired from primal levels, but when it comes to learning, I disagree. I think it comes down from connections in other ways, but in the factor of learning. What I'm saying is if people have handcuffed themselves, right? So I think energetically you need to be able to, and then from a standpoint of physicality. So if you're a 90-pound person, a 90-pound woman, and you're trying to learn from a 6'2" trainer, I don't think that correlates. Because I think there's the energetic exchange of power in our field, anyways. In our
Yeah.
field, it comes across, and so as soon as the dog senses you're off balance for one way or another, it matters. Now that's not sex related. I'm just using a size reference.
Yeah.
But I do believe in, and the podcast that we did with Caesar, masculine and feminine comes up. I think the mistake that's made is when feminine people try to act masculine and they don't have enough good practice doing it, and when masculine people try to act feminine, it's the same, right? And if you have to be both.
I always thought about when I heard masculine, feminine like energies is that it was just like darker, lighter, light necessarily.
Yeah.
Darker being being more assertive, doing more protection or whatever it may be, and light is doing more joy or love, necessarily. And that's kind of how I always looked at it all.
And I think I don't think the definition is as important as the perspective of the person, right? So I think however you can see it is important. Here's what Caesar said. I mean, he goes, when women in the family nowadays use a lot of masculine energy to guide it. And I think if you want to define it, for me, I define masculine energy as physical follow through. All right. So it's one thing to say, bitch, I'll slap you. It's another thing to physically have all the capacity to do that.
Yeah.
And when I've talked about this a lot, when you study development in men and women in play, what they notice from boys and girls that's different is that boys will physically get into a fight way quicker. And what it does is it resolves issues and it sets these boundaries to things. It makes it clear and it actually bonds the boys together quicker. And girls, they don't ever physically take it to conclusion. It's never physically taken to conclusion like it is with boys. And so what is observed is that it gets more verbal and, as the word they'll use, more toxic. So if you carry that into later, and I'm talking about what we see, and you have a woman who's a pretty feminine woman, and all of a sudden she tries to like start yoking on a leash or correcting a dog or stopping reactivity, the dog's like, fuck you. It's like, what are you doing? And so that's what I mean by, like, if you really want to get into where I see it comes out is when women try to act masculine, it doesn't correlate. And I think I even talked about this last time. This is where Colleen's great.
We covered this exact topic. You were talking about
Yep.
the follow through and the women staying in toxicity because they never, and it's because there's never a regulation. There's never a point where they go back all the way down to zero and then start from calm and then go back.
I think the animals used to fighting. I think the animals used to physical conflict. I think the culture has clouded things.
Yes.
Culture and civility have detached us from what our dog is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anthropology is something for trainers to study. Like, this conversation is caveman conversation, but we're trying to have it with, like in the cultured world,
Yeah.
it's like this, and people can easily get offended.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the ability for people to get offended, I think, is one of our big blocks. I think people need to get offended by stuff and still power through more often. I think that's one of the reasons why people fail in life is because something stops them and they shut down and don't follow through, in a sense.
Agreed.
I think that's a major problem
this
in our
little
society.
conversation down the rabbit hole. I was about to ask Ben, because you said something that surprised me. You said, like, you had clients that frustrated you, or at some point. Like, what does it take to frustrate Ben?
I would say people that know blatantly that they're doing something that's just for their own value and not the dog's value, and it's over a period of time, and they'll have a set of issues of I'll give you a client for instance. So you don't need to know any. They have dogs that are very bad at greeting people, and that I believe thoroughly that it stems from how those dogs greet the ritual of greeting people at their house, or just more specifically how they greet their owners, and the type of relationship that they have. And I know that they're capable of doing it. And when they choose not to do it, I had to have a finish line with people, and it's not, I would say frustration maybe, and just people not following through. Yeah, I think that's something I deal with. I'm sure everyone deals with to some degree. How much frustration or how long do I hold on to it for is short and low, but people that have problems continually that come to you and then don't choose to follow through. It's not because they don't know what to do. It's just they're making their own decisions in the emotional world, and can't get past it. And it's usually because of due reason, from my experience.
How many appointments does it take to get to that point?
Oh, years. Because I have that day training program or just boarding. Yeah, it's usually years or months. Months of something like I had a dog just get put down recently that had human aggression towards its owners, and um, they had went through all these different classes, yada yada, and the dog bit their son that's like 25 years old on the face, 28 stitches, and um, that week prior to, or 2 weeks in a row, they just didn't follow the process, and then they ended up putting the dog down immediately, and then they had regret, and then they went and got a puppy. That's frustrating for me. After this is a within 72 hours, and just that stuff's frustrating. I think for me,
That's fair.
that's very frustrating at times.
You
So
say anything?
yeah, I just tell them, I say, hey, I think you're a great person. You could probably call me for anything else in the world and I'd help you with it. But our relationship with dogs is just not going to go forward. I just don't want to do business with you anymore, is what I typically will get to.
Oh,
Um,
sweet.
but, th- but then there's still clients that come and they really want it. And I just don't like I don't want people to throw their monies at their problem, and to keep coming back and, they still
My
have
thing
their
is,
problem.
if a client's super down and they're really like committed, I'm gonna go the extra mile for
Yeah,
them.
dude.
I'm gonna
I'll come
have
to your
them
house at
come
9:30 at night.
extra. I'm gonna show them, like, I'm gonna spend more time with them. But the people that just kind of want you to throw money at you and expect a dog in return, I'm I'm gonna help them. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna bend over backwards as much for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I have a this new rescue I'm working with. It's like this lady that is like the president of the rescue society in Illinois or something. She's sending me this dog from Tennessee that's like lived there for 4 years with this other trainer that's just more like a balanced trainer, and the dog's deemed dog aggressive and just been sitting there. She's been collecting like $450 a week, just having that dog there. She's like, yeah, it's just I can't rehome. It's this much money, and I don't know, just because all that money that they're spending is this all from people's donations. So stuff in the dog world, I think, is just so messed up, and that's frustrating. I'm trying to do as much as I can to help it and change it, but that process is big.
Well, yeah. Well, because you have to pick an avenue and figure out what part of it are you trying to change or improve. I started looking at I for whatever reason I didn't know how many dogs have their tails cut off. Like there's only a very, very small number of dogs that are born with tails, or excuse me, born without tails genetically. Like all these other dog breeds that we see have their tails cut off. So what part do you want to fix? That's disgusting. And if you want to get into like the behavior aspect of it, like the way the body moves helps you have an emotion. The emotion you have moves your body, right?
Yeah,
So if you cut a dog's tail off, that's going to change the way that it moves its body. It's going to change the way it moves its tail. So it's going to change the way it feels. That's like Botox.
Yeah.
So
mhm.
that's the thing is there's so many spots to want to fix, quote unquote. The fact that one of the primary things for any college educated person in the animal world now is medicine, and
The worst
and
thing in the world.
and this word evidence based, right? They'll use things like this, so it's a lot. It's a lot out there as far as
They'll skew the statistics to follow to, would you say 69% of all statistics are wrong or something?
Yeah.
You said that on
But
your podcast one time.
that cool part though is that lady that was this president. She came out with a bunch of different board members to my facility, and we had a day train day, and they got there and it was like the end of all the greeting events are done. We're about to put all the dogs away, and so they came in and they got greeted by like 18 dogs, and these are a couple of dogs are muzzle, and most of the dogs are rehab dogs, and then we went through that process of them coming through the gate and everything with just following the rules, and they were so taken back and shook and amazed, and then we put them all in place, whatever, and I sold it though to them. I showed them what dog psychology was, and they were in just such disbelief that they could have dogs themselves that have behavior issues and not deal with them anymore. They're like, you're saying that my dog's 5 years old and the aggression it has with my other dog, I can get rid of them. Like, dude, what are you guys doing? Yes, like
oh,
you
it's
know,
amazing what people accept.
oh,
Yeah.
dude, it was like it's just so far away from people. I go to people's houses and they're just so far away from the problem usually
Was that
that
so? So I bought another house so me and my dog can live in this house over here.
oh,
So
dude,
People live in
I
avoidance.
I had a like this massively wealthy family out in Southern California when I first was out there, and they had that. They had a separated, kind of like you hear Oprah talk about, where they had two different massive houses on this big compound separated by a gate because the dogs couldn't be around each other. And like all they would do is collect these dogs that couldn't be around each other. So it just becomes this big management like circle jerk of moving things around and trying to wait, hold on a second, I got where's Buddy? Where's
It's
Buddy?
like a diamond heist the whole time.
Crate and rotate. I mean, everybody's heard
Yeah.
that. That was perfect thing, but nobody does it right. Everybody makes a mistake. Dogs get in a fight. Uh, yeah, I'm just glad I don't. I've just fully accepted that. Cool. I don't live in that world. I don't have any skin in that game. So
Oh yeah. That,
you know,
but the people that are willing to do the work and ready to do it, like that's fine. But dude, I just went to the house today, 4 dogs. Three dogs in the kennel. I can hear them all the way downstairs. One dog was, 5 or 6, happy-go-lucky, but I went down and it was just they're all fighting. All 4 dogs can't be in the same room. They have 5 cats, and you know, come to boil down is, she had a bunch of bad things happen to her in her life. I don't need to be specific, but all these animals are just here for a bunch of emotional decisions, and they're ready to go forward. They're both former military. We'll see how it goes. I said it's 100% success if you follow the program, but if you can't walk and you want to do it this the way or do it that way, it just won't work.
That reminds me of the podcast you guys just had with Stephen Griffin or whatever, where like his questions, one of it was like, why are you getting this dog? And then the other thing was like, what are you willing to put into this dog as well? Like what, not just like, what can this dog give you emotionally or whatever, but we need to remember that we have to fulfill these animals and do what's right by them. They're not just here for our emotional baggage to dump on.
but
Yeah.
that's the only reason people get dogs. Nobody gets a dog so they can fucking have a project. So people get a dog, and there's these. It's like a wives' tale. Everybody gets a dog for this. There's this background vibe in their head that this dog is gonna make things better, and it does. But a lot of the things
It can.
can. But I think for a lot of people it does, because I do really think a lot of people need that type of. If you look at like our needs, like our innate psychological needs, one of them is feeling accepted and feeling loved, right? And a dog is going to do that in spades. And the people that really have a high drive and need of that have a much harder time. Look, you guys have to understand what psychologically behind the scenes, behind the curtains is happening with a lot of people. The dog is providing something which is very similar to like social media. It's like it's a dopamine support system,
Oh yeah.
right? And so as we're saying, hey, do me a favor, what I need you to do is like ignore your dog. What we're saying is, hey, don't have that cigarette. We're saying don't go that scroll. Don't do that again. Don't do that doom scroll. And the back of the brain knows this. The brain is starting to understand this. So the people don't really consciously choose not to do what we tell them. And
Yeah.
everybody's ignored good advice. It's that as soon as what we're hearing starts to create some realization of, oh, wait a second, you're asking me to really take away certain aspects of how I support myself. To us, we've learned not to support ourselves through our dogs. And for most of us that do have that fucked up need, if you're at least in this circle, you've worked on it. And you've had to go and do some support for yourself, and you've had to work yourself through certain things, right? We know that. That's part of
Yeah.
it. But if you're not doing that, and we come in and say these things, it's a fucking hard thing to
Absolutely.
accept.
I
And
think the dogs are here to give us the present of presence. Okay. And through that, we're supposed to work on ourselves, which people never do. They avoid that. That's why they get stuck in their whole thing. The dogs are here to help us become more enlightened, and people don't want to become enlightened. They want to live in their instant gratification of the scroll, the doom scroll, and the cigarette, and the you know what I mean? No one wants to take the time to actually like be better, which is what the dog is supposed to help us do, because as you said, no one wants a project. No one wants the project of working on themselves as well. So there's this big correlation. I think that in our group, what you're saying, we work on ourselves, we work on our dogs, we elevate ourselves. These people aren't they don't want to even work on themselves or work on a dog to help them work on themselves. They don't even know that a dog can help them work on themselves in a sense. You know what I'm saying? But I feel that there's this enlightenment that can be reached if you are present in the moment with your dog, and it's going to teach you about yourself so that you can actually become better, and you're going to elevate yourself. And I that's how I feel. And I feel like
Hey,
I'm actually going through that process myself from like a self experiential, this is biographical in a sense, I would say. So that's why I feel strongly about that.
okay, I like that. Hey, but imagine hitting that threshold, and then I go send a feed my head trainer feed it at him. So talking about the frustration, just all the whole process though, and when I before that level, I just have a whole breath of air, and it's a strong feminine energy. It's what made me think about that process though of all that.
It's
That's
that
the
regulation we need that no
yeah,
one is
dude.
taking. You were going to say something, Todd? It looked like.
No,
Oh,
no. I'm
okay.
looking back and forth
I felt
watching
like
you guys.
you're about to like jump in, and I cut you
No.
off though. Yeah, I feel like those moments of regulation are like what we need as ourselves as a species to get better, so that we don't react to everything. We respond, like was Stephen Griffin was talking, responding versus reacting. And so like these moments that we take the dog to come down to zero or whatever, we need to do the same thing, and they're there to teach us, but we don't even know that they are our greatest teachers in a sense. I think we're missing the boat, a lot of people, unless you really can tune into it.
Well, what do you think they can teach you? What do you think the best lesson a dog can teach you is?
The presence, basically. So instead, in being able to respond rather than react to something. So before before I had a dog, something like I wouldn't, and before I learned this stuff, not I don't attribute it just to having a dog, because I never had a dog before I really learned this stuff. In the last podcast, you were talking about I fucked up a dog because I didn't know any of this stuff when you met Lynn. I didn't fuck up a dog because I started knowing this stuff before I got the dog. Before I got Regina, I was watching all the Dog Whisperer. It was the inspiration to get her. So when I went to TCW, I didn't have a fucked up dog. I just wanted to be the best I could be for my dog. So that is a way of in elevating myself in a sense. I want it helps me to work on myself so that I could be better for me. But then by bettering myself, I'm bettering the world around me, because if I'm my best self, then I'm going to interact with things and make them better as well. You know what I'm saying? And dogs, if we're helping them get better by slowing down when they get into these moments of fight, flight, or avoidance, and then bringing them back to zero, it can be a reminder to us that when we get in these moments of fight, flight, avoidance, we need to regulate and come back to zero, meditate, exercise, do something to drain and like just let it all out, and come back to, okay, now how can I tackle that problem in from a sense of calm confidence, rather than, or maybe not confidence in that moment because you're still struggling to figure out whatever, but you're confident that I've struggled before and I can get through and make it again, in a sense. I don't know if I'm pontificating, if I'm making any sense whatsoever,
No,
but
man, just let it roll, brother.
I'm just speaking from the heart, and that's,
Yeah, dude,
I
it's
don't know.
fine.
It's very Southern California way of speaking, I think.
I think dogs. What draws people to dogs is the similarity. I think a dog is just like a person, but without consciousness. So this is where the humanization becomes the problem. Is as soon as you humanize it, what you're bringing is a different way. The brain, a different. The reason a dog lives in the moment is that all animals and essentially can only survive from that perspective, right? I mean, if you really had the ability to look at your situation as the way animals live, you'd see a bunch of animals jumping off like rooftops and shit. You know, you'd be like, "Whoa, man!" They'd be like, they'd figure out this sucks. But they don't. That's the whole point of being in the moment is you just go, okay, we're going to get through this moment, and another moment's going to happen. And by creating this, what we call acceptance. In the human world, everybody wants to be happy, but the people that really understand human energy even will say it's not about happiness, it's about a sense of peace or acceptance, which is different. Happiness comes and goes and you're up and down. You'll be happy and then you're not happy. But it's more about this sense in the middle. I've been calling it guardrails. Like, you're not too excited, you're not too nervous. They're just kind of in these guardrails right here, which is what we call, calm, surrender, happy, go lucky. And even I don't know if it's just by chance. I work with a lot of therapists, or that I ask a lot of people what they do, so I end up knowing. And it's fascinating how bad therapists are at figuring out dog behavior, because they work with people that lie. They work in slow motion, so it's an educated form of behavior. We actually have like more of an applied form of behavior. We get to see, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try this. How's the dog feel? I'm doing this. How's the dog feel? I'm going to do this. How's the dog feel? Right? Humans won't give you that.
Yeah.
Look, you got sunglasses on, Bobby. Nobody really fucking knows how you feel. Well, like humans aren't going to give you that same sense of honesty and truth to the moment. Right?
They're going to tell you the
We're
story.
never going to live like a dog will. We can't. Our brains have the ability to go forward and go back. So we can't be like that. But
I feel like they're in a sense, they're just there to remind us to come back to it from time to time. We can't live just we could truly live in the present moment. And if we did truly live I think we'd be our best selves. Like, if we really interacted in every situation, fully conscious of what we were doing.
I think it's called being homeless.
No, I think.
Well, kind of. Homeless people, I mean, the thing about it is,
like nomad.
You're doing what we're wired to do. Look, the anxiety and all of these things that people go through is because we have too much comfort.
Attachments or something to something.
Well, no, we have too much comfort. Right now, if I took all your shit away and fucking put you in the woods, like, you're either going to die or you're going to immediately put all of your energy into finding what you need right now. And immediately you're going to be in the moment, really in the fucking moment. You're going to be like, shit, okay, what do I need right now? But we have that taken care of for us. The amount of luxury we have is off the charts. And as you see with dogs, the more that's given to them, it doesn't make them better, right? So, I mean, it can. What they need to, we always end up bringing it back to the basics, right? So humans have the same basic needs. It's the same stuff. It's just that
shelter, food, water, you know what I mean? The ability to go to the bathroom. That's it. Like those are the things that keep.
What's the first thing an animal interprets? What's the first thing? What's
energy?
The first interpretation anything makes all the time, forever? And this is like the thing I think that's missed on people. We lose this, but this is really the fundamental reason that everybody's really struggling with their dog is this first interpretation. You guys know what it is?
What do you mean by interpretation?
Like, so let's say you have a dog sitting here right now. It's like this. And something changes in the environment, or something, now you have a different activity. There's something new. A dog is constantly interpreting,
assessing
what's going on around them as what?
As a pressure of some sort. Like
safe, right? Essentially every choice.
Yes, that's their life. Yeah, that's their life.
Yeah, pressure. If a pressure's coming, I need to evaluate whether I need to move away or
let's just call it safety. Every choice revolves around safety, the sense of safety. All of it. Every one of them.
Life or death.
Life or death. Yeah, exactly. Everything's life or death. So from that, then we'll go into the dog world and everything. But we all go through this, but humans will create stories to ignore it. Like, a dog's never going to ignore life and death. They're going to be like, this feels like death.
I have to disagree. At some point when you're living in the woods, you're going to not just be scared of just being like eaten or whatever. You can't live in fight or flight, or that whole anticipation of something always happening. Eventually your nerves are going to get used to stuff. You're going to relax. You are going to live in a more like Native America or indigenous people of anywhere. Like, they're probably calmer than any people that live anywhere else. They're way more connected to nature in a sense.
Even calm dogs get alert though.
Yeah, no, but I'm not saying, of course you need to be alert you need to be able to be safe to some degree. But
do you know what anxiety is? It's your threat
energy that you just don't get out.
It's your threat detection system that doesn't shut off, right? Some people, so basically people that are super, super anxious, if you probably would have gone way back in time, there's probably some element of that person that was kind of one of the alerters of the family. They were a little bit more nervous. There was a little bit more uncertainty. And
A
then
more
there's people that
sensitive.
just don't flinch, right? So if you were to maybe go back in some timeline of that person, that there's what I'm saying is if you make yourself an animal, not like your common human that's going to the grocery store right now, we're very, very, very close to a dog. The thing that changed is that we started to get a sense of ourself. And as soon as you got a sense, everything kind of came from this weird sense of going, okay, wait a second, why am I here? And as soon as that happened, everything went down the drain because that was almost like a luxury. And this is where everybody's like, well, was it because we started using fire and cooking food and the brain, blah, blah, blah. But I think anthropology is important because if you're in tune to the animal side of yourself, it's easier to understand the dog side. Because socially speaking, we're the same.
Yeah.
But intellectually speaking, we have this whole other layer that fortunately they don't.
have the consciousness,
Exactly.
the self-recognition.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a dog look in a mirror, look at a TV?
Yeah, they
You
freak
know what
out.
I mean? It's like, fuck,
Yeah,
they don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've seen dogs look behind
Hey,
mirrors.
the self-recognition and the ability to conceptualize mortality, I would say, and what that can do to you as well. I think
Socialized mortality.
yeah, dogs don't have that, but humans definitely, like,
Yeah.
whether conscious or unconscious, they are fear of death, like safety at all times. Like, even though that's dogs do it as well, it's like our knowledge is, well, they know they can die at any moment too, I guess, because they're always worried about safety in a sense. So I don't know. It's
I don't think they know what dying is, though, right?
yeah, maybe not that.
They
I don't
they,
know.
they just it's just
They know that
instinctual
they need
inside
to
of
get
them.
away from the lion
Yeah,
chasing them. You know what I mean?
I
They
don't think
know
they're
that
thinking
it's
about
not
it
good
though.
to be the last one caught. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know if they have a fear of death in a sense. They just or it's just self-preservation.
So I would think that. I mean,
Instead,
we
yeah.
all we all are innately afraid to die. That's what keeps us alive. And it's not we haven't like an existential fear of loss. It's not
That
so much a
yes,
fear of
and
death.
regret and not yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
But
the animal's not going through all of that.
right,
Ours is much, in my
more
opinion, much
compounded up.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. I wanted to mention, dude, thank you for upping your social media game. I told that to Steve on a past podcast, but your social media is amazing, bro. The stuff that you drop is top notch.
I Yep. I tell people all the time to follow it. Yep.
Well, thank you.
Can you expound on that process that you went through? Because I remember the day you're like, I'm back and I'm gonna kick social media's ass and what's like or whatever, something to that degree. Like,
That's
watch
intention
out,
right
and you
there.
did. You came
That's intention right
storming.
there, motherfuckers. I don't know. I just I had videotaped myself giving, like, as I had said, I've got a lot of stuff to say. I've got a lot of experiences. I've got a lot of things I've seen, just like you guys do. And what I was noticing is that was kind of the trend, is that people were enjoying hearing the experience of people that had been in the game of whatever it was. It didn't even matter what it was for a little bit. And so I came from that point of view because at the beginning I was sharing a bunch of stories of, things we'd do at TCW, things we'd see, things that, my early experiences, going into people's houses and different stuff. But just because I'm very, very in tune to feedback, behavior feedback, I could see what would work. It's like there's what's fun and what you want to do, but then there's, as soon as you get into it, and I mean, this is at least for me, dude, that's addicting as shit, especially when you hit a vein. I was explaining, so you guys, Oliver, the British dude.
Um.
TCW student?
Yeah, well, he was a student,
Was
and
he
then
the
he
one wearing the
volunteered.
suit the whole
You
time?
guys weren't there when he volunteered in Fort Lauderdale. So
No.
Oliver was Oliver Seymour, Ollie. He has a facility in London, and a huge place actually. So, anyways, he was just here, and I was explaining that to him. And so there was, at the beginning, I was just doing some posts, and then I happened to hit a post that got a lot of and then I got a bunch of followers. And as you start to watch it, I mean, for me, talk about dopamine, it was like, oh shit. And there was a certain point where I had 2 or 3 posts that had clicked at the same time. and I got like, I think it was 8,000 followers in a day. And then from that day for like the next 3 months, I averaged 1,000 a day.
That's
So
crazy.
every day I would look at my phone. I mean, I was literally watching like numbers dial, and it was just, and I mean, it was like, I mean, it's hard to describe it. That's what it really was. It was very,
Don't go like this.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
Back in the vein. No,
I'm just
no,
but
but
it
it's
was,
right.
you
There's
know,
a
it's
rush.
funny, dude. My wife just said that. So I had a podcast, a national podcast company contact me, and they wanted me to do a audition. And I taped an audition, and I mentioned something. I go like this. And my wife goes, "I didn't like that," but I sent it. I had already sent it. So like, that's creepy bullshit. But
Hey,
it was interesting to watch this thing go, and you know, if you if you can read feedback, you can continue to change it. But the algorithms are picky, man. Like that's what sucks is you're really not you're playing with algorithms, and you're playing with the psychology of trying to grab literally lightning in a bottle. It gets easier. You can figure out how to do it. Like if you ask Steve what he would know what the perfect post is like. Difference between Steve and I though is Steve has somebody to do the post.
yeah,
I do mine.
yeah. His is more
I
produced.
don't think I'm
Yours is
ever going to get to
definitely.
the point of wanting to do my own posts. I don't think I'll
Not
ever
with
No,
want to
that
do that.
attitude, you won't.
if I could
Not with
stop
that
right
thought.
now, I would, but it's become something, you know.
You have to imagine it first, bro.
I don't
You
really
see,
want to though. I can't create a
well,
lot,
okay, well
you know.
then yeah, then you don't want to. That's fair enough. Like
Yeah, but
follow your heart.
I feel like there's an obligation at some point where you have to, you know.
You said earlier, you know, that you wanted to make some change. So this is where what you can do is if you really follow what I do, there's some consistency. I never make any other trainer wrong. And if I do, it's because there's some serious idiocy going on. And I don't seek that part out because I'm not trying to build myself up by making other people look stupid.
Too much
Um,
of that in this industry.
there's too much of that. But that doesn't mean that there's not messages that need to be kind of stung a little bit, right? That doesn't mean that sometimes you don't need to, like you guys know me. It doesn't mean that there's not, you know, a little that needs to be said.
Real
Yeah, a
consequence.
little too much Southern California talk.
Well, it means sometimes people need to be smacked around. People are fucking stupid,
No, yeah,
they
it's true.
consistently do the same flawed behavior with dogs in the name of loving them.
Hmm.
And sometimes, you know, you need to say things in a way that make them go, "Oh yeah, you're right. It feels like you're talking to me." And and that's good. I mean, I think people need to be reminded of that. But they also, what you'll find is actually what goes viral the most is bringing up something that people already do, that supports something that they're already doing. That is like, you know, I the one that I wear, massage the face. Like if you act like you're licking the face of a dog, right? A lot of
Yeah.
people naturally do that. And when you say, okay, this is what it mimics, and the dogs love it, people are like, oh my God, and they go crazy with it. But if you try to give like a good sound piece of advice, like good dog psychology advice, nobody gives a shit.
Well,
No.
if they don't, so
That's the
you
art.
doing the thing with the
Yeah.
feeling, it gives that person a feeling like like
Mhm.
oh, like a dopamine hit. But if you're telling them something that they don't want to hear because it addresses something that they do, that then they're gonna like reject that part of it. You know what I'm saying? But
Of
you're doing
course.
something that they love. You know what I mean? So oh yeah, I do that. That's why they connect with that. You know what I'm saying? Rather than oh shit, I need to stop my dog from jumping on the couch when it fucking just fur missiles itself up there. You know what I mean? Or like, so you just
They
have
like
to.
interpretations too. They like to know what's happening. Like people, this is what goes back. People don't want to fix that much. They want to know what's
Mhm.
happening. And, you know, I've long told people your biggest fans will make the smallest amount of changes sometimes. I mean, people that will like refer you over and over again, like over and over again to be your biggest fans. You're like, look, so I've known you for, like you were saying at the beginning, I've known you 4 years and your dog still pulls. like
What are
what's
you
up?
doing?
Yeah, what
Why
do you
are you
do?
doing that?
I just give up. And I'm like, obviously, you've accepted it. I accept it. Thanks for the referrals. And
That's a
That goes
weird
to
thing, right?
speak to what I was just saying about people don't want to work on themselves. They just they want to
but
echo
Tommy,
chamber
it's not
back to
that.
themselves.
To me, that's a little too intentionally negative. I don't think it's want to.
No,
I think
yeah, they just don't know that this possibility
it's
is out
human
there.
nature. No, it's human nature. People have to get to a point where they're ready to make improvements. And if any amount of information comes in before this full acceptance of that happens, it doesn't matter. even if it was a great trainer, great situation, I can't tell. I mean, I've come across people. I'm like, that's a great bit of information. I don't give a fuck right now, right?
Yeah.
But if you get that information later on or a different time, it's different, and that's where a lot of trainers, I think, over time. Look, you don't come across a lot of trainers that are older that are super happy. They kind of look worn down. And part of it is because of that, there's a lot of burden of what the people do that you teach. And that's where I think it's like, if you teach well and you do good assessments and you give good advice, shit, dude,
Yeah.
there you go, man. And
You
I've
can't be
literally looked
sad
at
that
people and
another
said,
person didn't understand it.
I've looked at humans and said, your money will spend exactly the same if you do this or if you don't. Because you can tell it gets to a point where it's like, look, man, you get that I'm going to teach you, but I don't give a fuck if you do it. And some people that are in a certain mode are used to manipulating people with this laissez thing that they'll do. And the other thing too is like if you charge enough,
Oh,
and
definitely pay
it's not
attention.
too much. It's not enough that you get to where you only have high value clients. It's that you charge enough that you have people that make a decent living are now paying a good amount, right? So that the average human being has now kind of opened their eyes that, okay, if I'm paying you this much, there must be a reason. And
Absolutely.
I was listening to a podcast where a guy was saying that he wanted to give out information about meditation, but he could have given it to people for free, but he knew they wouldn't value it, so he charged as much as a refrigerator at that time, and so it was like, I don't know, $700-800 or something. So it was enough to where you were like, oh shit, I needed like. I'm putting out enough money to like, oh, it raised your attention to like, I better pay attention because I'm putting out this much money. And that's to a degree, that's what you're speaking about. You know what I mean? It makes them pay attention that if I'm putting out this money and other people are like, shit, he's paying that much money or she's paying that much money. Where there's smoke, there's fire. There must be a reason that, you know what I mean? You're paying for what you get in a sense.
well, a lot of responsibility comes with that, but yes. I work out of Fort Lauderdale a lot, so people will call there because it's advertised through Caesar. So I'll go down there, spend a day or two, and people come down there like thinking you're going to save their marriage. And you know what I mean? I mean, they're looking at you as like you are the one that's going to make it all better, and you have to just roll with that and be like, yeah, you're right, I will. And it's a huge responsibility to for people to give you that, but it's important for yourself to not like really burden that responsibility, be able to take that on, give it 100% of yourself and just kind of let it pass. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you hold it for the time. What do they say? You're present for it. I hold these people's issues while I'm there and I hold them fully. And as soon as they're gone, I'm like, fucking see ya. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and off I
That
go.
decompartmentalizing can be hard to challenge.
Yeah, you guys, especially you, Ben, I think because you have employees and you have a brick and mortar facility. I don't have that. And so I think it's easier for me to be fully invested and then I can kind of step
Yeah.
back. I had a facility and you have people that are coming in every day. It's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
it's a totally
delegating. It's
different
easier.
piece of responsibility.
So when you guys did this podcast, what did you have in mind? So what did you want to talk about?
With you?
Yeah, women and men.
No, I honestly, I just wanted to talk to you about a couple of things from the dog psychology podcast
Mhm.
that last episode I thought was brilliant. The one with
Oh,
Stephen Griffin.
my one question is, I just want to know your most interesting case. What was your most recent, interesting case?
Mine?
Yeah.
Um,
Human or dog.
no, you know what? I just had one too, and I'm trying to think of what it was. Um, oh shit, what was it? Shit, because I just had one, and I was like, dude, this is fucking weird. So I've had a couple of them. One, and this one was really weird. I have video of it. Is I had a dog that was afraid of the sun, and it would go into a full state of like kind of shutdown avoidance in the sun.
Yeah, I think I did watch that little clip of that
Yeah,
on your
so
was your
I've got
pod.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no, it was a,
exactly. I've got more video of that than that. But there was another one that I did that was also equally weird. What was it? Fuck, and it wasn't that long ago. Funny, that's how much I let him go.
Do you? I had
Yeah.
another question while you're thinking of that. Is do you? So you just get all your business through the country and pet resort, correct?
Not all of it. I mean, I have my own business here in Orlando.
Oh, okay.
Fort Lauderdale is about 3 hours south.
Do they just like private contract you out there?
Yeah,
Like,
so it's a I have to pay a percentage for Caesar. I have to pay a percentage to Monica, but they take care of all the payment. They do all of that stuff, and I just show up. And so, like a couple weeks ago, I was there. We did on Saturday. There was 4 people there with puppies. I did like a 4-person group class, and then I had a single private. And then the next day on Sunday, I had 2 privates, and they charge stupid amounts down there, fucking stupid amounts. So
might as well.
might as well, yeah. And I mean, it's because there's more money, and they'll ask it. I could not ask for the amount that they charge down there. It wouldn't come off my mouth and feel right. I'd almost apologize. I'd be like, "Look, I'm sorry, but this is how much it is." You know,
Do,
I,
do,
I have
do,
no problem going out and doing the work for it. I just couldn't sell it.
so you're still doing like I would say lessons every single week then, right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
cool. Yeah. I was wondering, I was like, I saw your Instagram, I was like, man, I wonder when he's just gonna be just doing lessons for enjoyment and just know, and
It's because I think what I want to do is I want to hook up and bring in a bunch of. I'm thinking of 2 directions. One where I just bring in a bunch of puppies. Like Blue would be amazing at puppies. I think
yeah,
Blue like has like some motherly instinct she needs to fulfill that I think would be really really good with puppies. And you guys get to see her. It's kind of funny, everybody. I haven't. How think about this? Nobody gets a dog that you got to see a couple things. Think of this for my dog Blue. I probably saw 100 people handle her, right? I probably saw 100 different people walk that dog. I probably saw her with at least 100 other dogs, right? So I saw her get to interact with at least that many dogs. She stayed at Caesars. I mean, she stayed there for like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I mean, to have all these different perspectives of her, and she's really one of the most intuitive dogs. I mean, for me, I've ever owned.
you
I
know,
mean, she's
my personal experience, I've probably spent 20, 30 hours of Blue, maybe more. I was always thought about, I was like, I'm gonna send Todd a fucking invoice for that dog, how great she is.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Ben. Thank you very
No,
much.
because whenever we have shepherds there, they're always like, "Ben, hold the shepherd, hold the shepherd." But that dog is super sick. She went to the best home ever. Super cool dog.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to have her. So when we were out in Malibu, oh, and by the way, I have a notebook behind me, and it's weird. It talks about meeting with Lynn at Pacific Palisades Rec Center. That thing just got ashed. Um, so I had when we did mushrooms in Malibu, and she was part of that, and that was when I decided to adopt her. I'm like, okay, I got to adopt her.
That's awesome.
If a dog comes to you with like, an
The
hallucination,
glow,
yeah,
the
you
psychedelic glow.
It's awesome.
Real quick, let me ask you a
So
personal question.
hold on a second. What I was going to say was what I'm
Oh,
thinking of doing is I'm going to collect puppies, or I want to go to a little dog rescue near me and start to foster like their little violent offenders. Like a small dog rescue, so that I can start to really teach aggression. You can't teach aggression through normal sized dogs.
Akita.
Right. Dude, it's stupid, but you can teach aggression really well through little dogs, because it's a great blueprint so that you can see how a lot of like what's happening. And so I do want to kind of shift into, and I want to start rescuing really like the old dogs. I don't know. I want to help the dogs. I want it to be between me and the
Yes,
dog. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want there to be this other intermediary like rescue or anything. I want it to be between me and the dog. I'm here to make your life better, and as long as you're with me, your life will be better.
that's
yeah,
cool.
we've helped and rehomed a bunch of rescue dogs. We work with a bunch of rescues, and it's so much easier because
I don't
we
want to
like.
rehome a dog, dude. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying. Is I don't want it to
you
be
just want
about
to.
anybody else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, fuck that, because no matter what,
You
somebody's
want a
going to
sanctuary.
yeah, exactly. Where it's look, now that you're here, whatever happens from this point forward is going to be the same thing. Basically, it's going to be Groundhog Day
Right.
for you, and it's going to be exactly what you need. Right? You're going to be able to settle into this. You're going to get the best part of humans. I know humans are well intended, but we're not exactly great for dogs
You want your own
until you get
DPC.
to the point where you get it.
That'd be really
You want your
cool.
own DPC in a sense.
I'm sorry, brother. What'd you say?
I said you want your own DPC in a sense.
I mean, not
Kind of.
scale.
Yeah.
I'm still selfish. You know, the funny thing is I'm still selfish with my time, but I want to be able to share my knowledge and my experience, not necessarily with people, but
With
with
dogs.
dogs.
Yeah. It's
And
beautiful. I love it.
yeah,
Okay. Can I ask you a
Says just for
personal
me.
question? What's something now that you believe that you didn't when you were younger
about dogs or in general?
in life? Period.
Wow. Something that's different now that I believed when I was younger.
Something you believe now that you didn't believe when you were younger. What's something that you've changed from youth to now? What have you
Perspective.
metamorphosized from?
Huh. Honestly, I'm kind of the same. I mean, there's not a lot, but if there would have been like what would I wish? I mean, I wish I would have learned the understanding of what part of who you are you really can influence and what part you can't.
Hmm.
Right? You know, so as a
Like
father, you
that.
know, and you're about to do this is it's you're trying to teach yourself and you know, and as a parent, you're trying to teach the way to optimize the way your brain and your behaviors are going to work. So it's one thing to like, you know, oh, I'm this thing, but it's also important to understand how it works. You know, and I've tried to teach my daughter, for example, how to understand. I see in her a lot of me and how to channel. It's almost like fucking Dexter, you know. It's like here's how you're going to channel this particular part of yourself
Yeah.
because I've been through it,
The
right?
dark passenger.
Well, it's
Not
dark if you don't know
necessarily
how to
as bad,
channel
but
it. But that's the whole point of it is that like I
it's
can remove the darkness by saying, hey, okay, here's the deal. Is that this, you know, when you have certain drives or obsessions or ways of looking at things, you can regulate it this way. And you have to just sometimes own certain things and regulate it, and some things you can change. And that is
facing our shadow self and using it to alchemize to be greater rather than just having like that shadow self control us. We can, if we do it the right way, the things that are like problems can be turned into opportunities.
I suppose. Yeah. Um, I think what most people are missing is understanding of themselves. And regardless of what way you want to take it, if you what you want to do with it, it's just that people think certain aspects of their thoughts and their emotions and the way they feel and the way they experience things they don't have control of, and they do. And they think these things that they can control and manipulate, they can't. Right? So you follow somebody like Dr. Joe Dispenza, and what you learn from somebody like that is that part of the reason that every day feels the same to you is because you you go through the same process. You haven't stopped and changed a thought to change a feeling, to change an experience, and then done it enough to change a habit behind that. And so people think, oh well, this is what we have.
This is
This
who we
is
Right.
are.
Yep.
this is what
Yep.
we are, you know,
Yep.
and especially
The
what we
way
saw,
it
you know,
is.
call it victim mentality, meaning that now you're even less responsible for this thing I'm talking about. And so, you know, to Ben's point earlier, you know, it gets tough when owners act like they're irresponsible, like they almost act as if they can't control these things. And by surrendering to these things that you absolutely can control, but then coming to people that look for help, it's like, nope, wait until you're ready. You know, that's what we mean by you're not ready. You haven't surrendered. So that's the stuff that I
You
think
haven't hit
people,
rock bottom or whatever, in a
whatever it
sense.
is, it's
Yeah.
you can't learn unless you're completely,
Full acceptance, man.
yeah, you can't decide what you want to learn. If something you're trying to learn something, just gotta fucking take what it's.
And with arms wide open. You know what I'm saying? That's it,
Guys,
dude.
I teach recall with. I literally teach recall with open arms.
Nice.
Right. So I say, I go, recall is an accepting energy. You have to open your arms and accept your dog coming in. And if
That's
you do this, you'll actually find it works better. Because a lot of people are all fucking calm. It's like, shut the fuck up. Open your arms, back up a couple of
Open
steps.
your heart.
And
Open
it's,
your heart.
Yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy it a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. And so that's what I mean is like people don't get that. That's what people need to understand is that, look, dude, standing there going, come to your dog or your kid, you know,
Yeah.
like really what that means as my little dog walks away when I say that. So I think that would have been the stuff that it would have been cool to know as a kid.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Just like more self-awareness, huh? Is that
I was aware, but I didn't know what to look at, I guess is what it was. I mean, when you're anxious, you're aware. It's just that you don't know what to look at. And so you'll look at all the wrong things or you'll look at too many things. And so
yeah, what would you call that? Self-awareness with not what's the last part of that though. The other side of that is then actions. Like
well,
you have self-awareness of being anxious and realizing, oh wait, I need to slow my breath down, my speech down, or whatever it might do.
Caesar used to call me Meerkat, dude.
Meerkat.
Yeah. And so I mean it's that. It's knowing how you put yourself in the world. What do you do? How do you move? How do you talk?
The energy.
Right? How do you do your shit? How do people respond to you? Right? And so it's that feedback back and forth. It's not just you being you. It's all right. What do you want to be out there?
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
Nice.
It's people hide for themselves.
All right. Well, on that note, I think we're at an hour. Thank you for joining us again. Hope we didn't go down too many rabbit holes that didn't work out.
Tin Hat,
I
man.
felt like we kept it. We brought it back whenever we needed to.
We did good.
Yeah, I appreciate you for coming on. We keep up the great work on social media and all the great things you do with dogs, brother. We appreciate you, man.
Appreciate
you there, buddy.
All right. Take it easy, everyone. Thanks for watching.